the prayers and then we'll get into the discussion today. So first of all, thank you very much, dear devotees, for giving your valuable association. This week will continue to be online. Next week, hopefully, it will be in person because Sanatana Prabhu will be back. He is coming back on 22nd. So then he'll be back here. But let's get started with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapata Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachyata Shatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So thank you very much, dear Judy. Very grateful to all of you for joining today. It's so nice to see all of you. Though digitally, it's still nice to have that association which you always hanker for. So, yeah, so we'll get started with our study of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are studying from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are studying from Canto 1, chapter number 15, titled as The Pandavas Retire Timely. So let's quickly get into the context before we go further and then we'll get started. So before we begin, I want to display that I'm very grateful to all of you. Then I'm happy that you are accepting my service. So very, very grateful to all of you. And whatever that we are going to discuss today is all from Srila Prabhupada's purport. It is all from our Acharya's commentaries. So any good thing that you find in the whole presentation today, may all the glory go to them. And if there is any error, any mistake, that will be solely mine. So please forgive me. And I also seek blessing for all of you. Please pray for me so that I can speak the words which will enliven and increase our bhakti toward the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Shyam Sundar. And I would like to pay my gratitude to all the senior Vaishnavas whom I listen to, my Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bevacha Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So just do a quick recap, because it's important, because like Pandavas retired family is what we are studying now, and in which we have seen a couple of sections, right? In first of all, Yudhishthira Maharaj had asked a lot of questions, speculative questions. What happened? What happened? Those kind of things. Why are you so morose? All those things are done. And because of that, Arjuna is not able to speak. That's what we find. So what happens next? He is having a lot of grief that, oh, Krishna is gone. Only he knows. He is not known. Nobody knows yet. But definitely Yudhishthira Maharaj in, has definitely come to know that he has gone, but he is not asking a straight question. So due to grief, what is happening? Arjuna is not able to speak. His heart completely dried. His body luster is gone. All the symptoms that we can see when the loved one goes, that's what is happening, right? And then next, what happens? He wanted to speak, so he's removed his tears. He's trying to clean his ears, tears, and then with a lot of difficulty, he starts to speak, right? And he's definitely remembering Krishna, saying that all the Krishna's deed that he has seen, especially the friendship that he has shown with him, is is very overwhelmed with that. And then what happens? He now begin to speak. So in the verse 4 and 5, we saw that he comes and tells that I lost all my powers. You know, whatever power that were given to me, they all have gone now. So I lost all my powers. So because Krishna has gone. So this is he's not feeling sad because the power is gone. It is not the sadness of that. Normally in the material world, people become sad because if they lose a power, if they lose money, they lose prestige, they lose fame, they feel very sad, right? They don't feel sad if temple is broken, if people are getting, they are not feeling sad for that. There is no compassion in today's world, unfortunately. People are very, very selfish, very self-centered, where they only think good for themselves. So, but here Arjun is crying and saying that Krishna has gone and he's seeing from that, and I also lost my powers. So he's talking about that. Then in the next word, we saw that there is an unbearable separation, you know, uh, because even a moment of separation from Krishna is so painful. Gopis were discussing in the 10th canto, Gopi talks about, they are saying that who is that fool who created these eyelids? Because we have to blink. And when we blink, we can't see Krishna for that moment. And that is so unbearable. Now, just imagine how loving that relation is, where gopis are feeling so much separation that even by blink of an eye, which is like 1/11th of a second or something very small, right? Still they feel that separation. They want to constantly see Krishna, all the time without any kind of interruption. So Arjun is also feeling the same thing that, oh, I lost him. And it is very difficult to be separate from Krishna. So whole universe becomes void because of this. So that's what happens when Arjun is doing like that. Then he is giving examples that how he has benefited because of presence of Krishna. This is like being grateful, showing gratitude towards Krishna. He says he won the Draupadi's hand because of Krishna. It was not possible. There were so many people who were there who could have won, but he was able to. The challenge was very, very difficult, very difficult. Nobody could beat, but Arjun was because of Krishna's mercy. So he's remembering Krishna. Then he remembers that he defeated Indra, the Maya Danav, and all those. He was able to create that uh, the wonderful Indraprasth, because that Khandavprasth was occupied by Maya Danav, and they were fighting, and Indra came, and they all were defeated at the time. So he's remembering that. Then he remembers that how the beam defeated Jarasandh, that how the beam has defeated Jarasandh because of the plan of Krishna. Krishna told Jarasandh was unbeatable. Jarasandh had 10,000 elephant, power of 10,000 elephant in his hands and body. So, but Bhim was able to defeat him because you can see here Krishna is showing him a plan how to do that. You can see Krishna is trying to break this, stick and then throwing in two directions in opposite direction like that. And that's what he gives an indication to Bhim saying that you do this so that he will die. So this is all Krishna's mercy. So Arjuna is not forgetting any favor which was done by Krishna. And Krishna is showering his mercy because of his pure devotees. Pandavas are the pure devotees. So Krishna is showering all the mercies to him, right? And then he is telling that all the offenders of Draupadi were killed where? In the Kurukshetra, the Mahabharat war. So he's saying they all were killed because of Krishna. Because remember in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, they all are killed. You are just an instrument. You just have to fight, but they are already killed. He says that. So he's saying they were all killed because of the Krishna. So he's remembering him for that. Then they were saved from Durvasa's anger. Durvasa Muni was sent by envious Duryodhan to make sure that Pandavas get cursed from Durvasa Muni. But Krishna comes and saves. So he's even remembering that part. So that's what happens then. Then obviously the war was inevitable. So everybody goes out to get some equipment. So warheads or say Divyastra. So he fights with Shivji and he gets the Pashupata, weapon from him because Lord Shiva gets very pleased with him. So he's remembering that because of you, you gave me power, so I was able to astonish Lord Shiva. It is because of you gave me that power, so he was able to do it. Then he remembers that how he killed the Nivata Kavach demons. There are 30 million demons, how he was able to kill, and they were in the water. Nobody could find him, so he was able to remember that also. Just imagine one person killing so many demons. It is very astonishing. And that power can only come if Supreme empowers that person. So he's remembering that as well. Then he talks about all the Virat's cows were taken by Duryodhan and how Arjun comes as Brihanalla and still fights and regains all the cows. So he's remembering that pastime as well. And then is the duration of life of the Kaurava army were withdrawn because of Krishna. He says all they were killed because Krishna was present. So he's remembering each and every pastime that happened. And then the invincible weapon of like, uh, all the weapons of Bhishmadev, Karna, Dronacharya, nobody could touch Arjun. Nobody could touch Arjun. So why? Because of Krishna was protecting. We saw an example where when the Karna shot a arrow, the Krishna saved Arjun and it hit the mukut, the the crown of Arjun and did not hit his head. So Krishna saved him. So he says nobody could touch him. So he's remembering for that as well. And then very beautiful pastime we saw here that enemies neglected to kill him, where all the horses, we saw this picture, if you see this, right? We saw this picture. This is a wonderful pastime where Krishna is taking care of the horses. And Arjun is remembering this, that when he was on the foot in the warfield, still they neglected to kill him. Now, how Krishna can bewilder them, right? So that is all because of Krishna's mercy, remembering even that. So with that, we'll enter in today's discussion. So today is remembering the intimate moments, intimate moment that he has spent with Krishna. So that's what he's remembering. So we are going to talk about those today. So we are beginning from verse number 18. So let us recite this verse. So this is a very beautiful verse actually. You can see, we'll just read that first and then we'll go into discussions. निर्माण्युदररुचिर स्मितशोभितानि हे पार्थ हेऽर्जुन सखे कुरु नन्दनेति सञ्जल्पितानि नरदेव हृदि स्पृशानि स्मर्तुलुठन्ति हृदयं मम माधवस्य. Okay, so is Rishit there? Yes, Rishit. Can you please read the translation better?
O king, his jokings and frank talks were pleasing and beautifully decorated with smiles. His addresses unto me as O son of Pritha, O friend, O son of the Kuru dynasty, and all such heartiness are now remembered by me, and thus I am overwhelmed. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So here we can see his frank talks between Krishna and Arjun, smiles, he tolerated offenses, which are discussed in next two verses, this and the one next coming up, right? So when a friend meet, they don't call by pure name, they will have a specific name to call. Like a father will call a child with a very specific name in the home. They don't call by the full name. Why? Because of love, because of the affection. So he's remembering, oh, how Krishna was talking to me. He was telling me, oh, friend, he was telling me, son of Pritha. He's remembering all the different names through which Krishna addressed him. Why? Out of love. He would never tell Duryodhan that, son of Kuru dynasty. He will not say that. He will say Duryodhan. Why? There is no love there. But here there is a love. So heart to heart connection is here, right? So now one important word is here. So here, let's see if you know it. So this word called Sanjalpa. So now, Sanjalpa means the discussion which is happening between Krishna and Arjun. That's what Srila Prabhupada ji translates. So Sanjalpa, Prabhupada says here as conversation, such conversation. That is Sanjalpitani. So now, help me understand what will be the opposite of this Sanjalpa.
Prajalpa, Prabhu.
Ah, we remember Prajalpa. So we should do Sanjalpa, not Prajalpa. Very nice. We should always engage in conversation about Krishna, Krishna's pastime, his devotees, their pastimes, and those things, which we'll call Sanjalpa. Anything other than that we discuss becomes Prajalpa. And in our Bhakti Marg, it is mentioned we should avoid Prajalpa. So that's what it is. How wonderful it is that, we were doing Sanjalpa, we were discussing Riddhi Sprishani, which will heart to heart, heartiness. Now he is saying, it is all gone. I'm remembering all these things and I feel very overwhelmed. These are very intimate, connection that Arjun is remembering with Krishna. And then what happens next? He says that he tolerated my offenses. Krishna tolerated Arjun also. How? Let us see that. It is very beautiful. We'll see this next verse. Okay. Shayyashanatana vikathana भोजनास्वि भोजनादिस् ऐक्याद्वयस्य ऋतवान् इति विप्रलब्धः सख्यो सखेव पितृवत् तनयस्य सर्वं सेहे महान् महीतया कुमते रघं मे. Okay. Kavish is there. Can you read translation?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, please go ahead.
Generally, both of us used to live together and sleep, sit, or loiter together. And at the time of advertising oneself for acts of chivalry, sometimes, if there were any irregularity, I used to reproach him by saying, "My friend, you are very truthful, even in those hours when his value was minimized." He, being the Supreme Soul, used to tolerate all those utterings of mine, excusing me exactly as a true friend excuses his true friend, or a father excuses his son. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Beda. So here, this is a very wonderful point that Arjun is making. See, when Arjun and Krishna were together, and they were together for a long, long time uh, in Hastinapur, right? And when they will do some activities, they will play, all those activities are there. And Krishna will try to, like, for example, he will cheat or he will speak a lie, for example. He says he will speak how? Sarcastically. oh, you're very truthful. Like, somebody tells a lie, he says, oh, you are very truthful. But it's not like that. It's like sarcastically. And he's telling to whom? Bhagwan himself, whose words are never wrong, right? But still, he is doing this. He's remembering, I told him I minimize his value. Krishna's value is reduced by telling him that you are a liar, you know. So he's remembering that I minimize his value, but still he never took it personally. He forgave me. He tolerated those humiliation and still be friend with me. He's remembering that. How? Like a father will excuse a child. Child sometimes may get angry and talk to father. Father say, okay, all right, don't worry, don't get angry, right? And a true friend, between two friends, although sometimes there can be some kind of misunderstanding, but they get excused very quickly. So he's remembering that I was offending Krishna, not thinking that he is the supreme personality of Godhead, and I was calling him like this, but still he tolerated. How amazing! How amazing! So that's what he says. In Purport, Srila Prabhupada ji writes that since the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is all perfect, his transcendental pastime with his pure devotees never lack anything in any respect, either as a friend, son, or lover. The Lord relishes the reproaches of friends, parents, or fiancés more than the Vedic hymns offered to him by great learned scholar and religionist in an official fashion. So Krishna is more happy if somebody is offering prayers in a grand processions or arati and all those stuff, but he's more pleased when a pure devotee talks to him like this. Hare, you are a Makhanchor, what are you doing? What are you talking about? In a Vrindavan, Krishna will be chastised many times, but he is very happy. He's very happy. So now here, Krishna is being chastised by Arjun by telling him that, you are like this. Where do we find a similar reference in which scripture? Where Arjun is speaking these kind of things that, oh, I chastised him. Anybody remembers? Which other scripture we find it?
Prabhu, Bhagavad Gita also. I think after the Vishwarupa Darshan,
Yes, very
Arjun
good.
feels so bad.
Correct. Yes, here is a reference. So here he says he's when Krishna showed him the Virat Swarup, then Arjun was astonished. Oh, this is the Supreme Lord. What did I do? And he speaks these wonderful words. So Vishaka Mata, would you like to recite these words?
Asha Prabhu.
Yeah, please go ahead.
सखेति मत्वा प्रसभं यदुक्तं हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति अजानता महिमानं तवेदं मया प्रमादात् प्रणयेन वापि यच्चावहासार्थमसत्कृतोऽसि विहारशय्यासनभोजनेषु एकोऽथवाप्यच्युत तत्समक्षं तत्क्षामये त्वाम् अहमप्रमेयम्.
Yes, thank you, Mata. Very wonderful. So here he's saying Sakheti Matva. So let's read the translation because then we will know more. So let's read the translation by Srila Prabhupada. So who is there? Abha or Akshay is there, Mataji? Puja Mata? Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Akshay is here.
Okay. Can you read the translation, please?
Yes. Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend. Now knowing your glory, please forgive me whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you in many times, jesting as we relax, lay on the same bed, or sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. O unfathomable one, please excuse me for all the sins. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, brother. So here he's remembering this pastime and say how I was dealing with him, and he feels that what did I do? I maybe have made a big mistake. Like somebody doesn't know the the president or prime minister of the country, and he comes and sits with them and all, and he jokingly pats his back and all those stuff. And then suddenly he realized, oh, he is a prime minister or president. What happens? So here he's thinking he's a Krishna, Supreme Lord. Still I behaving like this. But as we read in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna enjoys this more than offering a perfect prayers. He is not happy with those perfect prayers. In when such words are spoken, he is more happy. So we can see one other reference from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Very beautiful place is there, where he says, मोर पुत्र मोर सखा मोर प्राणपति यही भावे जेई मोरे करे शुद्ध भक्ति आपना के बड़ माने आमारे समहीन सेई भावे हई आमी ताहार अधीन. So Priyansh, can you please read translation beta if you are there?
Yes. Translation: If one shares his pure loving devotion to me, thinking of me as his son, his friend, or his beloved, regarding himself as great and considering me equal or inferior, I become subordinate to him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, beta. So here, see, we have Prabhupada is writing this, which is reference to this particular. Prabhupada will write one line, but then it is connecting to some reference in the scripture. You always have to remember. Prabhupada will not make statement just like that. He will make one statement, but it is backed by a reference from a scripture in his purport. So, Prabhupada's purports are like Prabhupada say his purports are like his spiritual ecstasy. Prabhupada says this, that his purpose are like his spiritual ecstasy. He feels those things. And then he writes, he pens down all those things, right? So these purports are not ordinary devotee. And therefore, by reading the end-to-end, like this shloka translation purport gives us the complete understanding of these verses. And we can imagine if we are enjoying this so nicely, I mean, this is good, we are maybe not as much as the pure devotee would relish, how much Prabhupada would relish this kind of beautiful verses, right? And therefore the ecstasy is coming out. And similarly, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would read this Srimad Bhagavatam uh, in Jagannath Puri with his intimate devotees, right? Like Gadadhar Pandit and all that, how much they would relish. A pure devotee relishes them like amazing. They feel so much ecstasy when they read this. So we should read with a lot of love in these verses, be absorbed in it without any distraction. When we read it, we can also feel very good. We will feel very nice in our heart. The purification will happen if we keep reading this with lot of devotion and attention without distraction. Then the purification will happen, because there are two things which are there which we should always do. One is reading Srimad Bhagavatam and chanting. These two things are very, very good for our purification. Of course, backed by the Vaishnava Seva, if we do this, then our life can be perfected. So Srimad Bhagavatam is our best friend. It is our best friend. So that's what is happening here. So such a wonderful thing. Okay, let's go to next verse. So in next verse, what is happening here? He's saying, I was defeated. Who defeated Arjun? When he was bringing all the wives of Krishna from Dwarka to back to Hastinapur, because now Krishna is gone, so somebody has to take care. He said, I will take care. We'll keep them in our home in Hastinapur. So when he was bringing back all the infield cowherds, the local people, they defeated Arjun. Arjun, who had a Gandiv, where he can defeat anybody, but still he was defeated by them. So he's remembering that. So let us write this, recite this verse. Verse number 20. सोऽहं नृपेन्द्ररहित पुरुषोत्तमेन सख्या प्रियेण सुहृदहृदयेन शून्यः अत्वन्यरुक्रमपरिग्रहम् अङ्गरक्षन् गोपेरसद्भिरबलेव विनिर्जतोऽस्मि. Okay, any other kid is there? Abba is there? If not, we can. Okay.
Yes, Yes,
Okay, please go ahead, beta. Yes, thank you.
Yes, Babaji. O Emperor, now I am separated from my friend and dearmost well-wisher, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore my heart appears to be void of everything. In his absence, I have been defeated by a number of infidel cowherd men, while I was guarding the bodies of all the wives of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Beta. So here Arjun is saying that he was protecting all the wives of Krishna. I was bringing them from Dwarka to Hastinapur and I was defeated. And what happened? All the wives were taken away by them. So now it might astonish and tell people, "Arey, what happened? How is it possible that Krishna's wife was stolen or they were kidnapped by some cowherd boy?" That question may arise. But our acharyas are very merciful. They have answer to all such questions, you know. So Prabhupada has put that very wonderfully in the purport. So let's read the purport because Prabhupada has written the commentary by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur here. So let's read this. The important point in this verse is how it was possible that Arjun could be defeated by a gang of ignoble cowherd men and how such mundane cowherd men could touch the bodies of the wives of Lord Krishna who were under the protection of Arjun. Now, this question is very common. If anybody says, if they don't read purport, they don't understand, oh, they were taken away. Oh, this is so sad. What is Arjun doing? What Krishna was doing? If he's God, why he couldn't save him? All this question will come. So therefore, our Acharya comes to our rescue. And he says, so here Prabhupada writes, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has justified the contradiction by his research in the Vishnu Purana and Brahma Purana. In these Puranas, it is said that once the fair denizens of heaven pleased Astavakra Muni by their service and were blessed by the Muni to have the Supreme Lord as their husband. So once Astavakra Muni, Astavakra means somebody whose body is crooked, is bent from eight places. So like, you know, like Krishna is known Tribhanga because if you see he's standing on a folded hand, his neck is like that. So it's called Tribhanga. Three places his body is bending on the leg and the waist and the neck. That's where the Krishna is bending his body. So it's called Tribhanga. Here, Astavakra means his body is uh, bending at 8 places in his body. So he is they all the denizens they please the Astavakra Muni. So Astavakra Muni was very pleased and he gave them benediction. And they say, we want Krishna as our husband. Astavakra Muni says, all right, whatever you say, that will be yours. So now what happens next? Let's read. And then what happened? Astavakra Muni was curved in 8 joints of his body, and thus he used to move in a peculiar curved manner. He would not be moving very straight like a normal person would walk. So what happened? The daughters of the demigods could not check their laughter upon seeing the movements of the Muni, and the Muni, being angry at them, cursed them that they would be kidnapped by rogues, even if they would get the Lord as their husband. You see? So even if you get Lord as your husband, you will still be kidnapped by rogues. So that's what happened. Now we can even think, how come rogues can kidnap? So let's read the next one where Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says furthermore, he says, later on, the girls again satisfied the Muni by their prayers, and the Muni blessed them that they would regain their husband even after being robbed by the rogues. So, in order to keep the words of the great Muni, the Lord himself kidnapped his wives from the protection of Arjun. Otherwise, they would have at once vanished from the scene as soon as they were touched by the rogues. Besides that, some of the gopis who prayed to become wives of the Lord returned to their respective positions after their desire was fulfilled. So, some gopis in Vrindavan, when Krishna went to Mathura and then come to uh, Dwarka, the gopis think we cannot bear this separation. We are here, but we also want to be with Krishna in his pastime in Dwarka. So please let us go there. So, for example, Radharani became Satyabhama, Chandravali become Rukmini, Jambavati become Lalita, like that, Lalita become Jambavati, like all these things happen, and so on. So they all were uh, in the participating in the pastime in Dwarka by their expansion. So they expanded themselves as a Rukmini, as a Satyabhama, as Jambavati, like that, and they were doing the pastime there. But remember that when they get into the body of say, Satyabhama, Rukmini, and all that, they will not be behaving as if they are Radharani or they are Chandravali and all. They will be doing a different pastime. So that we should keep in mind. So this what is happening. So they all wanted, so in by this one action, so many wishes and so many blessings were fulfilled by Krishna. So Krishna is so kind that when a pure devotee says that okay, you will get Krishna as your husband, Krishna will fulfill those desires. And that's how all these uh, queens which were there, they all were in the previous life they were blessed by Astavakra Muni. So we can see how Lord has fulfilled their desire. So that's what Prabhupada writes. And after the departure of Lord Krishna, he wanted all his entourage back to Godhead, and they were called back under different conditions only. So they were called back different conditions. Some gopis went to Dwarka and they drowned themselves into a lake, which become called Gopi Talao. So the Gopi Chandan that we apply on our forehead, it comes from that pond in Dwarka. It's called Gopi Talao, the pond where Gopi got into the water. So that particular the mud that comes out of that, it's called Gopi Tilak. That's what you apply on our forehead. So in a different ways, they all went back to Godhead with Krishna. Krishna disappeared in a different way, and then he took different queens in a different way. Like that, it happened. So we can see how Lord's pastimes, if you understand correctly, then we can be in that pastime and not speculate saying that why it happened like that. If we have to read this, we have to understand, and then we can completely understand the whole pastime. The whole pastime will reveal in front of us, right? So that's what happened. Let's go to next verse number 21. So now he says, I am the same Arjun, right? And uh, I'm the same Arjun with the same Gandhi bow, arrow, everything is them. I've got the same chariot, same horses, uh, but I become null and void. I don't have anything. So Krishna's absence is so much in his heart and mind. His presence, he is missing his presence. So that's what he's saying. So let us read this word. This is also very, very, very wonderful, where he talks about this. Tadvai dhanus, tadvai dhanus, tadvai dhanusta ishava saratho hayaste soham rathi nrupatayo yat anamanti sarvam kshanena tadabhu sadishariktam basman hutam kohakarat bhivoptabhushyam. Okay. Yes, Robert Prabhu, can you please read translation?
Yes, Prabhu. I have the very same Gandiva bow, the same arrows, the same chariot drawn by the same horses, and I use them as the same Arjuna, to whom all the kings offered their due respects. But in the absence of Lord Krishna, all of them, at a moment's notice, have become null and void. It is exactly like offering clarified butter on ashes, accumulating money with a magic wand, or sowing seeds on barren land. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So here Arjun is lamenting and saying that, all the things that I have, all power, everything, all possession that I have, Gandhi, arrows, chariot, horses, everything is null and void. They are of no meaning. How? And then he is giving three comparisons. What is he saying? He is giving comparison as one is offering ghee on ashes. Let's say you put a fire, yagya kund, right? And yagya is over. And now everything is ash. Like we do Nasimha Homam or Gita Yagya in our temple, in ISKCON Atlanta temple, right? And after the yagya is over, everything is done. And then somebody says, okay, let's offer ghee now on the ashes. What happens? Nothing's going to work. It's just waste of ghee. That's it, right? Nothing happens there. Similarly, like magician who show a lot of tricks and then he draws a lot of money from his pocket, from hat, everywhere he brings money. And those monies are of no use because those are not real money, right? So that money is of no use. And third thing is compared with sowing a seed in a barren land. The land is completely barren, nothing can grow there, but still you put some seeds there. So what's the point? So he's giving this example to show that all the possession that he had are completely useless. They are completely become null and void because of Krishna's absence. So Krishna's absence is so much important, including our lives. If we don't have Krishna, just think about our own lives, dear devotees. Just think that if Krishna was not there, then what our life would have been. In fact, like in a school, the teacher asks children to write essay on this. I think we all should contemplate on our own thought process. If I was not into Krishna conscious process, what would my life would have been? I think we should all think about this. Write some paragraph and think that, oh my God, I was like this. It is so, it will be real reflection. Now, with that, we should not become very proud that, oh, I would have been like this, but I'm better. But we should become more humble that Krishna actually gave me his bhakti. Krishna allowed me to uh, to walk on the process of bhakti so that I can reach him. That should be our mood. If I become a better, doesn't mean I should become a proud that, oh, I was like this, I would have been like this, but now I have become like this. So we should not become proud, but we should become more humble that Krishna allowed me despite I would have been like this, but Krishna actually saved me. Krishna saved me so that I can do bhakti and go to him. So I'm very grateful to Krishna. That kind of gratitude should come when we reflect on our life without Krishna consciousness, right? And that we should try to do, because then our pride will go away. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that we have discussed more than once, one should not be puffed up by borrowed plums. See, this is what is. We all get all the power that we have, all the ability that we have. Anything that we have, it is all borrowed. Why? Because everything is bestowed by Krishna. Everything is Krishna's mercy. We may see them as not so favorable thing, but they are actually favorable. They will help us in advancing in Krishna consciousness. So that is definitely going to work. So we have to make sure that we use this life in a very, 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 very diligently without forgetting Krishna every moment. We have to remember him every moment, because if we become puffed up, like we can see recently, somebody shared a video with me, and they were saying that this fire that took place in Los Angeles, I think few days ago, all the big superstars of Hollywood, they were mocking at God or something like that, and then fire took place. I mean, all these things they were telling. So we should never feel very powerful that without God, uh, I can do anything. We cannot do anything without God. We cannot. And there is a wonderful reference which will come, but let's go to the purport. So Prabhupada says that all energies and powers are derived from the Supreme Source, Lord Krishna, and they act as long as he desires and cease to function as soon as he withdraws. And the same example we saw in Arjun's pastime. All electrical energies are received from the powerhouse. As soon as the powerhouse stops supplying energy, the bulbs are of no use, right? We all get power from various providers in Atlanta. If the Swanee power is not there in coming, there won't be power, right? If Georgia power is cut off, their main supply, a lot of homes will go without power. So Krishna's power or energy is like that. Without his sanction, without his giving us this mercy, we can do nothing, right? And then Prabhupada writes, in a moment of time, such energies can be generated or withdrawn by the Supreme Lord, Supreme Will of the Lord. Material civilization without the blessing of the Lord is child's play only. Like a child who makes the the sand castle on the beach, sea beach, right? And what happens? They make very nice castle. As soon as one big wave comes, everything is gone. So, so Krishna's powers are like that. In a one moment, he can take away the power. He can take away power just like that. As soon as somebody becomes very puffed up, just to humble that person, and through that examples to teach others, Krishna will do this. See, Krishna, sometimes people say, Krishna says, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu, I love everybody, I don't discriminate between people. He says in Bhagavad Gita. But then why he does it? This question may arise, right? And also it is mentioned that without sanction of Krishna, nothing, even a blade of grass cannot move. Then is it that Krishna is sanctioning this, thing where people have to suffer? Krishna sanctions, yes, Krishna sanctions those suffering, but that suffering is because of the individual's past karma, which they have to go through for a purification. Therefore, Krishna has to sanction. Krishna doesn't want to punish people. He doesn't like to. He's very, very kind. He's very forgiving. But because of the karma, they have to go through that, and therefore that punishment is sanctioned by Krishna, though Krishna doesn't like it. Okay. So that's what it is there. So we should never feel that Krishna is being partial. He is never partial. Of, then his Prabhupada says that as long as the parents allow the child to play, it is all right. As soon as the parents withdraw, the child has to stop. Like, today, all the young children, they want a mobile, and parents sometimes give, okay, you have the uh, time for like 15 minutes, you can play on mobile. And if there's a 15 minutes gone, then parents will, okay, it's time is over. He says, no, no, this is the last round. I need to finish. No, no, time is over. Please give it back. And they will take it back. Like in the TV also, child want to see a TV, watch a TV, and parents put a timer there, 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes automatically TV will be switched off. So child cannot do anything. So same thing, we should feel that we are always helpless in this world, and Krishna is only the sanction. He provides the sanction to all of us. Therefore, we are able to continue our bhakti. Otherwise, it is not possible. It is not possible. So that will humble us and make sure that we become more determined in doing our bhakti. Human civilization and all activities thereof must be dovetailed with the supreme blessings of the Lord. And without this blessing, all advancement of human civilization is like decoration on a dead body. So now, Prabhupada writes, this is again from a verse, So anybody remembers which verse it could be? I'm just reading this again. So if you are able to recollect, let me know. But I have the reference word here. So he says that without this blessing, all advancement of human civilization is like decoration on a dead body. Anybody remembers which verse it is? It is from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya. Remember this verse? You might have read this verse. Okay, let's read this verse. Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Shastram Japastapa Apranasyeva Dehasya Mandalam Lokaranjanam. Okay, so Bilas Prabhu, can you please read translation?
Prabhu, sorry, I'm driving. Can somebody else read? Sorry about that.
Yes, no problem, no problem. Okay, Puja Mataji, can you please read translation, Mata?
Yes, Prabhu. For a person devoid of devotional service, birth in a great family or nation, knowledge of the revealed scriptures, performance of austerities and penance, and chanting of Vedic mantras are all like ornaments on a dead body. Such ornaments simply serve the concocted pleasures of the general populace. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So see, Prabhupada is making a wonderful point in the translation that if we are devoid of any devotional service, if you are not doing bhakti, right, then even if you are born in a great nation or in a great lineage, aristocrat family, we may have knowledge of the scripture. There are a lot of people who have great scripture, they may be doing a lot of austerities and they may be doing a lot of charity. They may be chanting Vedic mantras. All these things are of no use. They are like what? Decoration on the dead body. Just imagine somebody left the body and that body is now decorated with a lot of jewelry. What's the use of that? It is of no use. So all our possessions are like that if we are devoid of bhakti. And anything, even if we do a little bit of bhakti, the kantimala that we wear, Tulsi Kanti, that will decorate our body so nicely because we are a devotee. We are trying to do bhakti, right? But if we are not a devotee, somebody wears a lot of big jewelries and all that, they are of no use. So Prabhupada is giving this wonderful point here that without these blessings, means Krishna is giving these blessings, right? Because Prabhupada said human civilization and all activities thereof must be dovetailed with the supreme blessing of the Lord, and without this blessing, all advancement of human civilization is like decoration on a dead body. So Prabhupada refers to these particular words. So we can see that anything that Prabhupada is writing has got a lot of backing, you know. Very wonderfully Prabhupada gives these points here. So, and then he gives the word saying, it is said that a dead civilization, its activities are something like clarified butter on ashes, accumulation money by a magic wand, and sowing of a seed on a barren land. These are of no use. They don't yield any result. And therefore, we should always, and we should encourage others also to become Krishna conscious. Let them do bhakti. Because without that, it is considered to be of no use. Anything that we have, they become zero. It's like, we have a lot of zeros in our life until we have Krishna as one in front of us. Then becomes 1 million, 1 billion, like that. But if we don't, then they are all zeros. All these possessions are zero if we don't have Krishna in our life. So we should always be very grateful to Krishna, the devotees who brought us here, and we are able to do some bhakti here. Now, Arjun is going to talk about something different. So what are you going to talk? The Yadus were cursed, right? As we know, Yadus were cursed, and the Brahmanas cursed Yadus, and they become intoxicated, they fought, and all those things. So let's read this verse because there are some points which will come, which will probably ignite some questions. So let's read this verse first. Rajam swayanu rushtanam suridana suratpure vipra shapa vimodhanam nignata mustibhirmithah varunim madiram pitva madonmahita chetasam ajanatamivanyonyam chatu panchavasheshitaha. Okay. Yes, Vijay Mataji, would you like to read translation?
Sure, Prabhu. Translation. O King, since you have asked me about our friends and relatives in the city of Dwaraka, I will inform you that all of them were cursed by the Brahmanas, and as a result, they all became intoxicated with wine made of putrefied rice and fought among themselves with sticks, not even recognizing one another. Now all but 4 or 5 of them are dead and gone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here we know this situation that has happened, which is described by Arjun, that all the Yadu dynasty, they all have left this place. How? Because Brahmana cursed them, they fought with each other and they killed themselves. They killed themselves, and that's what he's remembering. So here, specifically, the one thing is mentioned, they all drank the petrified rice. So petrified rice means something which is called like, what do you call?
Somras.
No, not somras. In Hindi, they call sarjana, means what do you call? Decayed or something?
Fermented, bro? Fermented?
Fermented.
Fermented, or yeah, something, because so actually our His Holiness Radha Govind Goswami Maharaj, he says,
Hmm.
is in Hindi it's called sharab, right? He says it is not sharab, it is called sadab. It is it is like the water which is decayed. You are drinking, you are paying money to drink water which is decayed. Can you imagine? Somebody gives you water from a gutter and you have to pay for it. So it's like that. He said people are drinking like that and you pay for that. So this is like that. They all drank, and it was all, see, we have to understand it was all supreme will. These things have happened because of Krishna's plan. It is not that he just made this. So why did this happen? You know, so uh, it happened because Krishna wanted to complete his pastime, and he wanted all this his entourage, all these people, all the those who participated in the pastime. He wanted him all to go back, because a lot of demigods also wanted to participate in the pastime. So they also came. Think we will also want to come. You are taking birth, so we will also come. We want to participate with you. So they all came. Now they all have to go back. Now they have to go back. Krishna has to make some plan that how can they go back, right? Then he also had his associate coming from the Golok Vrindavan. They all have to go back. So then this whole plan was made. That Brahmana will curse, and even Gandhari will curse. So all these curse will come, and then they will be fulfilled through Krishna's desire. So all this pastime happened because of that, right? And also, Krishna never wanted uh, the trace of his dynasty to be left in this earth. And we'll see in the next verse it will come why Krishna does like that. That time, we were discussing in one of the class where I think Rishikesh Prabhu mentioned this word called nepotism. So basically, nepotism is nothing but somebody who's very famous and powerful. His hair or his dynasty claim the rights that person was having. It's called nepotism. They may not have qualification on their own, but they are saying, "Oh, I am from Krishna's dynasty, so I am, I deserve something." A lot of people, you see, especially this happening in the in the movie industry, where people say, I am his son, so I entitled to act in a movie. They may be horrible actor, but they still get a chance to work. And somebody who is very nice, but he is not coming from that family, and maybe a normal family, they may not get an opportunity. Many times this happen. Like even a business, somebody who's not entitled, they may not be able to run. They may be given to run the business, but it's like that. So just to avoid those kind of situation, Krishna has played this particular pastime. So you should never feel that, oh, why this things has happened, right? It has all happened because Krishna's sanction. Krishna sanctions. Without that, as we are reading so far, nothing can move without Krishna's sanction. Okay. So now he is saying, Arjuna is now accepting everything as Krishna's will. Everything is happening because of Krishna's will. Uh, sometime people sometimes kill and people sometimes protect one another because of Krishna's will. Because of Krishna's will. So that is what Arjuna is now going to say here. So now his lamentation is gone. So now the verses are becoming short, right? Now he's giving very quick information. Earlier he was having heartfelt, wrenching emotion, and for expressing emotion you need more words. That's why the verses were longer. Now that is all gone. So okay, he's accept the Krishna's will, and now he's speaking very simple. So these are like Bhagavad Gita verses. So let us read this verse number 24. प्रायेणे तद्भगवत ईश्वरस्य विचेष्टितं मिथो निघ्नन्ति भूतानि भावयन्ति च यन्मिथ. Okay. Yes, Naren Mohanan Prabhuji, can you please read translation?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Factually, this is all due to the supreme will of the Lord, the personality of God, and sometimes people kill one another, and at other times they protect one another. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, according to the anthropologist, there is a nature's law of struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. But they do not know that behind the law of nature is the supreme direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is very important to know. We say survival of the fittest is a law. That is true. But who should survive and who should die? That is decided by the Krishna. Decided by Krishna. And sooner we know, then we understand that Krishna is all in control. We have no control over anything. No, we have no control over anything. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that the law of nature is executed under the direction of the Lord. Whenever, therefore, there is peace in the world, it must be known that it is due to the goodwill of the Lord. Sometimes we get a lot of Nobel Prize for peace. We have seen that, right? Okay, peace prize given to some and think that he is a peace messenger. That is actually not correct because they may not be the rightful recipient of those prizes, but still, because they don't understand, it is all because of Krishna's will. Only Krishna's sanction can say, okay, there will be peace or there can be war. And those are sanctioned for reasons that we just mentioned earlier. Because here Prabhupada writes that not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Lord. Whenever, therefore, there is disobedience of the established rules enacted by the Lord, there is war between man and nations. The surest way to the path of peace, therefore, is dovetailing everything to the established rule of the Lord. Mam ekam sharanam varja. The established rule is that whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we sacrifice, or whatever we give it, charity must be done to the full satisfaction of the Lord. Which verse from Bhagavad Gita is this? I'll read again.
Prabhu, yat karoshi yadashnasi.
Yes. Yat karosi yadasnasi yajjuhosi dadati yat tapasi sakundeya tat purushva madarpanam. Everything should be offered to Krishna. Everything. Everything. Our work, the results, whatever we bring, food, make it bhoga, offer it to Krishna, then eat prasad. These are very important things, dear devotees. This small act of gratitude towards Krishna and offering everything to Krishna will help us become more, humble, and our consciousness will always be checked. So we should always offer everything to Krishna. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning. No one should do anything, eat anything, sacrifice anything, or give anything in charity against the will of the Lord. We should never do that. Sometimes we see the homeless person and we feel like, okay, let me give it to them. We should not give them money. They might misuse it and the karma will come. In the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, if we do a charity in the mode of ignorance, the karma will come and hit us. If person whom we have given charity, if he uses money for intoxication, meat eating, then what's going to happen? We will get the karma. We will get the karma. So we should be very careful in doing that. We should give some banana, fruit. We can offer it in home. We can take the apples, banana, some milk, sometimes some juices which are offered, some water, offer and give it to them. And that's fine. But no cash should be given. We should never give any cash. And the Prabhupada writes, a discretion is the better part of valor, and one must learn how to discriminate between actions which may be pleasing to the Lord and those which may not be pleasing to the Lord. An action is thus judged by the Lord's pleasure or displeasure. So if we do something incorrect, there is a Krishna is displeased, then we will get the karma. We will see that something is not right. right? If you go and eat in a restaurant, what happen? We may not feel very good. We get acidity, indigestion. We may not see it immediately. Our mental state will change. All these things are there. And then it's an indication that what we are doing is not correct. There is no room for personal whims. Please remember this word, very important. There is no room for personal whims. Sometimes this is my life, I will live the way I like it, right? That's not correct. See, nowadays some children who grow up and they say, "Arey, this is my life. I will do the way I like it. Who are you to tell me?" Even they tell to the parents, but that's not correct. Here, the Supreme Lord is being spoken. Supreme Lord is telling them not to do like that. Okay, my battery is very low. Let me bring the charger quickly. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna. Sorry, the power interruption. Okay. So, yeah. So, we can see that nothing can move without the sanction of Krishna. So, we should always be very, very careful in what we are dealing with. Okay. Should be very cautious and conscious in any action that we do. And Prabhupada writes in the enter in the last line, he says that such actions is called yoga karmashu kaushalam, or actions performed which are linked with the Supreme Lord. This is the art of doing a thing perfectly. So this is if we align our thought process, our actions in the line of what Krishna tells, then that is called art of doing everything perfectly. And devotees should always try to be conscious in doing any actions. We should not do any action that will take us away from Krishna. Okay, let's talk about this. So now he is talking about Lord arrange a fratricidal war. Fratricidal war meaning fighting between the same family member. And that's called fratricidal war. So that's what is happening. That's what Arjuna is now talking about. So let us recite this verse. Jalokasam jale yadvan mahanto danya anish yasah durbalan balino rajan mahanto balino mitah evam balisthir yadubhir mahadbir itaran vibhu yadubhir anyoyam bhubaran sanjaharaha. Okay. Who's not a Vishakha Mataji? Vishakha Mehta. Are you
Yeah,
able to read?
yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Translation. O king, as in the ocean the bigger and stronger aquatics swallow up the smaller and weaker ones, so also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to lighten the burden of the earth, has engaged the stronger Yadu to kill the weaker and the bigger Yadu to kill the smaller. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother. So now here, Arjun is telling that how the bigger fish will they eat the smaller one and the weaker one like that. And Lord also arranged the same thing. Now, why did this arrangement happen? So as I was mentioning, the avoid the nepotism, that people do not want, Krishna did not want his family member to claim the right that I am from Krishna's lineage. Even today, there are a lot of Yadav whose surname is Yadav. They say we are from the line of Krishna, but their behavior is not aligned to Krishna's So we have to understand that if you are from a particular family, then your behavior should be like that, which is not the case, right? So just to avoid, that's one, which is avoiding nepotism. Second, if you recollect, the Indradumna Maharaj who built the Jagannath Puri temple, he prayed to Lord Jagannath. He said, I do not want any descendants, because if I have my descendant, what will happen? They will claim the proprietorship over the temple and the process. So he says, I don't want any kind of descendant in my life. He did not ask for that. He asked for that. I don't want any descendants. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also didn't have any descendant in his life. So nobody can say I'm from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's family. So the why they do it is to make sure that only a pure devotee, regardless of their blood relation, are able to in the parampara. Otherwise, what happens? Anybody and everybody can write claim over proprietorship. Today it is what is happens. This is my grandfather's. Okay, what is your contribution in that? There is zero contribution. But just because I'm born in a particular family, one can claim all those things. So Krishna wanted to completely avoid that, and therefore he is saying like that, right? So let's quickly read this purport. In the purport, there are one or two points which are mentioned by Srila Prabhupada. In the material world, the struggle for existence and survival of the fittest are lost because in the material world there is disparity between conditioned soul due to everyone's desire to lord it over the material resources. Everybody wants my share. This is my property, my share, this is my money. Everybody wants to do, and everybody is struggling to that. This very mentality of lording it over the material nature is the root cause of conditioned life. People are fighting for these things. This is mine. You cannot own this. And therefore, the countries are fighting with each other. The neighbors are fighting with each other. Family members are fighting with each other for this very thing, for claiming the proprietorship. And to give facility to such imitation lords, the illusory energy of the Lord has created a disparity between the conditioned living being by creating the stronger and the weaker in every species of life. The mentality of lording it over the material nature and the creation has naturally created a disparity and therefore the law of struggle of existence. So this is done purposefully. We can see it is mentioned, Srila Prabhupada says, weaker and stronger are created to create these conflicts. But if we come to Krishna consciousness, what happens? Even if there's somebody who's very strong, somebody who's weak, somebody is more intelligent, somebody is not so intelligent, somebody is very healthy, somebody is not so healthy, what happens? Everybody lives in harmony. There is no problem. Nobody is jealous of one another. Nobody is trying to subdue one another because I'm more powerful. It doesn't happen, right? So this is how actually we should live in the world. But it doesn't happen that way because everybody wants to empower or overpower somebody else and say, I am in power, I am in control. Actually, nobody's in control, right? Only if Krishna sanctions, we can control to a certain extent, but not completely. That's the illusion. That's what it is mentioned here. In the spiritual world, there is no such disparity, nor is there such a struggle of existence. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita we are reading, that's where we are this. Like, whatever we do here, in terms of bhakti, all the different rasas, we are going to exhibit the same thing in the spiritual world, but in a more purer form. In the spiritual world, there is no struggle for existence because everyone there exists eternally. There is no disparity because everyone wants to render service to the Supreme Lord and no one wants to imitate the Lord in becoming the beneficiary. Here, people want to become beneficiary. Even if some valuable thing goes to Krishna, what people do? People say, I want my share. I want some fame because I'm doing this. In spiritual world, that doesn't happen. The Lord being creator of everything, including the living being, factually is the proprietor and enjoyer of everything that be. But in the material world, by the spell of Maya or illusion, this eternal relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is forgotten. And as soon as we forget, what happens? Living being is conditioned under the law of struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. As soon as we forget Krishna, this law applies. If we are in Krishna consciousness, this law will not be there because there is no fighting happening. Nobody is fighting for proprietorship. Nobody is fighting for that, right? And if there's a fight happening in among the devotees because of they are still not reached the stage where one should be. Everybody is aspiring. So this will continue even within the devotees, but it is very minimized compared to what we see in the material world, right? So he's remembering that. And now what is happening? Now Arjun is coming to senses and he's saying that he is getting relief from the burning heart. So what is he doing? He's remembering. What is he remembering now? Let's see. Here he mentions that. So verse number 27. Deshakalarthayuktani rittapopashamani cha haranti smarantas chittam govindabhihitani me. Rishikesh Prabhu, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Prabhu. Now I am attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead, Govinda, because they are impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space. Hare Krishna.
So, question. He's saying, now I am attracted to those instructions imparted to me by personality of Godhead. Which instructions are this?
Bhagavad Gita instructions, sir?
Yeah.
Yes, correct. Bhagavad Gita. So see, Bhagavad Gita was spoken long ago, but still Arjuna is remembering, oh, I have to implement this instruction in my life now. I have to implement this. And he's remembering it, feeling soulless. Okay, that's fine. It's Lord's will, but I have to accept everything as Lord's will and then move on. So Bhagavad Gita is basically was spoken, as we know, among the most difficult situation in the life. We may never face such situations, but Arjun was in the war zone, fighting against his own family members, trying to take their lives. They are trying to take his life. In that situation, this was spoken. So it is so difficult to remember Krishna at the time. But then this happened. So Bhagavad Gita is a journey from confusion to clarity, right? So we see these are the verses. Like confusion happens in Bhagavad Gita 2.7. And after Krishna speaks and all that, clarity happens in 18.73. First he says, Karpanya dosho pahata subhava. Oh, I'm trembling, I'm confused. And then he says, Nasta moha smriti labda. Okay, my all illusion is now gone. He says, Karishye vachanam tava. I will do as you say. So he initially says, now I'm confused about my duty and I lost all my composure because of misery or miserly weakness. And he's asking that, please tell me what to do. And then after Krishna tells him everything in Bhagavad Gita, he says, Nasto moha smriti labda. My illusion is now completely gone. And then he says, Karishye vachanam tava. See, here also, as we were discussing the other day, that Krishna never told him to do. Krishna told him, I told you now everything. Now you decide. So you see, Krishna is always gives free will to the living entity. Krishna has laid the rules. This is what will happen if you do this. And then he says, now it's up to you. You have a free will. That's what we discussed some time ago in one of the class, saying that the only thing that Krishna doesn't intervene or interfere is the free will of the living entity. Krishna does not interfere into that. It is always there with us. So we can see that Bhagavad Gita is the wonderful scripture that we should always relish because it takes us from confusion to clarity. And that's what Arjun is remembering. And he says, okay, now I am going to remember the instruction that you gave me, many years ago, but still it is useful. I'm going to remember that. So we should also try to implement these instructions in our life, which are told in Bhagavad Gita, and perfect our life, right? So Prabhupada writes that herein Arjun refers to the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita, which was imparted to him by the Lord on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The Lord left behind him the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, not for the benefit of Arjun alone, but also for all time and in all lands. The Bhagavad Gita, being spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the essence is the essence of all Vedic wisdom. It is nicely presented by the Lord Himself for all who have very little time to go through the vast Vedic literatures like the Upanishad Puranas and Vedanta Sutras. So instead of reading all the scripture, this is the sar, Sarva Shastra Shar. This is all the Shastra. If you read, then if you want to get the essence of all the scripture, then that is Bhagavad Gita. So therefore, we should always try to remember that. And here Prabhupada writes in a purport where he says that the merciful Lord left behind him the great teachings of the Bhagavad Gita so that one can take the instructions of the Lord even when he is not visible to the material eyesight. So it is like Krishna is speaking. If we see this dialogue happening between Krishna and Arjuna as a third party, then we will never be able to implement this into our life. But if he say that Krishna is telling me as an instruction, then we will be able to implement them and we will be able to abide by these rules that he has lined out. So therefore, it is important that we read, we imbibe and implement the teachings of Bhagavad Gita in our life. Because Prabhupada says that there is no difference between the sound representation of the Lord and the Lord himself. That means Bhagavad Gita is non-different from Krishna. It is not different from Krishna. So we should read with a lot of devotion, a lot of faith that Krishna is telling me, oh, my confusion is going away. Like, Puja Mata sends those wonderful quotes every day. Every noon she sends very regularly. Just read that. So that gives a very essence of Bhagavad Gita. In fact, if you read that every day and then there is a link which is given where you can go and read more about that particular verse, which is a reference to that quote, it gives like every day if you read in the whole year, we have read half of Bhagavad Gita. Very important verses are there. So please make use of those quotes which are being sent. Somebody is spending time to take a picture and then write that text, give a link so all of us can relish. So thank you, Puja Mataji, for that wonderful service. Thank you so much. Yeah. So that's what it is. And yeah, so Prabhupada writes a long purport about Bhagavad Gita, so we'll not go into that. But the point is that we should all try to, read Bhagavad Gita regularly. And if you are not able to read, at least the quote which is sent every day, one can read that, go to that particular verse in the Veda base, and then read about that. That will not take more than 5 minutes. But that 5-7 minutes that we spend in Bhagavad Gita will be very, very helpful in dovetailing our activities in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, we have 3 different messages coming every day. Like in the morning, Ram Prabhu sent that quote of Srila Prabhupada ji. So we read it, so our consciousness becomes, okay, this is what Prabhupada is telling. Then afternoon we read what Puja Mata sends about Bhagavad Gita. Then in the evening, Bilas Prabhu sends quote by His Holiness Radha Govind Goswami Maharaj. So before you go to bed, we can read and go to sleep. So like that, whole day we can remain Krishna conscious. So there are 3 reminders which are being sent. Okay, do this before you begin your activity. Now you are in midday. You have done a lot of activity. You are maybe deviating. So please come back. Read this. Try to perfect your life. Before you go to bed, there are so many activity happen. Now go with this thought in your mind and go to sleep. So how wonderful this is planned by three devotees, So we should take advantage of this in our day-to-day activities. And it doesn't take a lot of time, I can tell you that. Okay. So now one section ends here. Now the next section will begin, where Arjun focuses on the Lord's instruction and attains the transcendence. So that's what is happening from 28 to 31, where Arjun contemplates on this. So, so I think we'll pause here because it's a complete separate section. Might take a little longer. We have the slide, but I will pause here and see if there is any uh, question, comment, or any correction anybody would like to share, or any reflection on what we discussed today.
So, Prabhu, can I ask a question about the Mahabharata? Not about exactly what we read, but I need a little bit better understanding on why the war took place, right? So, Dhritarashtra, right? He was the firstborn, right? So the kingdom should have gone to him, not the secondborn Pandu, right? But then Dhritarashtra was blind, so he couldn't become king. So then it went to Pandu. But then Pandu gave it back to Dhritarashtra, right? And so when Arjuna and the Pandavas, is it because Dhritarashtra should have divided his kingdom between his 100 sons plus the 5 Pandavas? He should have given them all something. But he didn't. Is that why the war took place? Because the whole kingdom should have, when Pandu gave it back to Dhritarashtra, right? Then it seems like it should have all gone inherited by Duryodhana.
Right. Nice question. So, yeah, thank you for that. So basically, Dhritarashtra was elder, but he was blind, as you said, right? So obviously, he was not qualified to become a king, right? The king has to be in a perfect, because king has to go and fight wars, right? He has to run day-to-day affairs. So a blind person cannot run this all the time. So he was not qualified. Pandu was the king. He was made the king because he was a rightful, he was a pious, and he had all the faculties functional very nicely. So he was made king. And when Pandu died, Dhritarashtra cannot become a king because he is still blind. He has not got his eyes. So he cannot.
Oh, okay.
So he was made as a caretaker, saying that you take care.
Okay.
And what happened before that, all uh, the children were born, right? Duryodhan, Yudhishthira Maharaj, all they were born. And Dhritarashtra was expecting, because both Gandhari and Kunti, they conceived at the same time. So Dhritarashtra was always thinking that let my child be born first, right? So he becomes the elder son. See, in the earlier days, the elder son becomes the rightful prince to become a king.
Right.
Elder son. So if the child, Dhritarashtra's child is born before Yudhishthira's child, before Kunti's child, then he will become a king. That is Duryodhan. But that didn't happen. What happened? Kunti gave birth to Yudhishthira Maharaj before Duryodhan was born.
Okay.
So in fact, it is mentioned that Gandhari becomes so upset that she couldn't give birth. She hit her belly so hard that the child in the womb died, and there is a story behind that. So we'll not go there. But then they were cut into 100 pieces, and then their 100 sons were born like that. So that's a story, another story.
Okay.
And so because of that, Dhritarashtra actually should have given the kingdom back to to Yudhishthira Maharaj when he became 18-year-old rightful prince, saying that, okay, now I am a caretaker, but it's like, power of attorney. Somebody gives a power of attorney, right?
Yeah.
And they misuse, saying, oh, now I am the owner. But no, you are not the owner. You are given a temporary possession to take care until your child becomes adult. So you take care of the property and then you give it back to them. We have seen a lot of property dispute happening where somebody is given, somebody father died, they gave the, because child is very young, doesn't know what to do with so much money, they gave it to some relative, and then relative takes over, they don't want to return to the child, but actually money belongs to the child. So that's what was happening with the Duryodhan or Dhritarashtra, where he did not want to give the kingdom back to Yudhishthira Maharaj. He says,
Okay.
no, it is my son, so I will take it. So he never wanted to give.
Okay.
And therefore this war happened. And in war also, the Pandavas tried everything to avoid the war. They tried everything to avoid the war. Krishna went, sent as a messenger, peace messenger. He was humiliated. Still he went. So the war was the only option that was there, because Pandavas asked, give us 5 villages. And Duryodhan says, I will not even give the land in which you can put one needle. I will not give that much land to you. So the war, there was no choice, but the war had to happen. So that's why the war happened.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay. All right. So thank you very much, dear devotees, for your valuable association. Very, very grateful to all of you for joining. Um, so yeah, I think we will not be meeting now, um, mostly, because it will be, I think next Wednesday, Sanatana Thakur will be back.